Hi there, and welcome back to Helping Hands. We are a general channel of different aspects that we will be doing videos on, of knowledge that we have in different areas that we can share with others to perhaps help them in their lives, to make their lives a little bit easier. So today, I'm doing a review of my very first car. I thought, why not? Since I kind of got on the area of different cars. And I know that when you're shopping or looking for a car, it doesn't matter whether it's a classic car, a new car, an older car. It's always helpful to do a little bit of research before you purchase a car, right? So I'm hoping that with this video, even though it's an older car, there might, that it maybe could help somebody, or just to give somebody maybe a little more knowledge on a classic they are thinking about purchasing as a second car even, or just learning about fun cars that they enjoy and want to know a little more about. My very first car was a 1968 Karmann Ghia, and it was a classic, and at the time, and it's still a classic, and I was very excited to get it. It was an affordable classic, and instead of having just like a regular car, I've always loved classic cars, and I was really fortunate to find one that was really reasonably priced, because I was I was between probably 16 and 18 when I purchased this car, and I purchased it from money that I got from my first job. My first job was at McDonald's, and I remember my parents making a pact with me that whatever I saved for my first car, they would match. So I thought that was fair, and that was pretty cool, and so that's what I decided to buy at the time, and I felt really fortunate to get it. And when I was doing my research, and one of the reasons why I liked it so much is it was compared to, like, I forget the model of Porsche. Of course, nobody can afford that Porsche these days, or even back then. It's always been a very expensive model, but it was kind of always compared to that. I think it's because, I don't know if they still do, but I remember people used to say that, a Porsche has a Volkswagen motor in it. That's basically what it is, right? So, maybe that's why it was compared to that, compared to a Porsche, one of those Porsches. It was one of, like, that old hatchback model of Porsche. I forget the name of it. It's real popular, but it's way classic and very expensive. But I remember it being compared to that. I don't know if it's still compared to that in a way. Like, it's like the poor man's version, I suppose, the Karmann Ghia, as opposed to that particular Porsche. But nonetheless, it was just, it was a fun car. It's a cool car, and I was lucky to grab it, to get it. And the only thing I did to it, I believe, during the time I had it, was I redid the upholstery, because it was kind of pretty worn out, and so I had that redone. But everything was good, and I believe it was a stick shift. I believe it was. So, yeah, they might all be stick shifts. I'm not really certain, but it was a fun car, easy to drive around, fun to learn the stick shift if you wanted to learn the stick shift with it. I really don't have any complaints about it that I recall. Of course, I was just a kid when I got it, but I would remember if there was some annoying things to having that car. But There really wasn't. There really wasn't. It was affordable. It ran good. I don't remember it ever dying on me or leaving me stranded or having any kind of major engine problems or any other problems for that matter in the time that I had it. It was only the upholstery because, you know, it had gotten so worn out and the seats got really worn out that I had that done. I'm not sure if I might have put a stereo in it. I don't remember. But it sure was a fun ride, and boy, I'm up there competing, I guess, with my grandfather, because I remember my grandfather had a really cool car that I remember seeing parked in the driveway when I was growing up. That it wasn't functional, I don't believe, at the time. But he had a couple of those, and you know, it was one of those old Metropolitan Nashes, and I always heard that, you know, I was gonna get that when I got older, but I never did. I think they finally sold it, and he had a couple of those cars, and it's a little tiny car, like it looks like a little cigarette box car, but they were so cute and cool. And my grandfather, he wasn't a small man. He was pretty big, you know, he was pretty big guy. I mean, like, well, he was like 5'11", I believe, 5'10", 5'11", but he loved his little Metropolitan Nashes. Military guy too. I mean, he was a Marine, but that's what he had when he, you know, of course, you know, it was probably back in that day, or even a little bit later. I mean, you know, later on in years, he didn't drive that for very long, but in his early years, probably in the 40s, 50s, he probably drove it. Yeah, I think that's where, yeah. I didn't really know him when he was driving it. I just heard about it, and then I've seen a lot of pictures of it, and then he had a model car, I remember, of it, but he had two in his lifetime. He really liked those little Metropolitan Nashes. I wish I would have asked what he loved about them so much, but I mean, if you look at them, you could see probably what he loved about them. They were just cute and cool cars. But I guess I was trying to compete with my grandfather, because I think this is kind of like in that category too. It was really such a cool and cute car. And nowadays, you know, a lot of young people buy them and really soup them up and do all kinds of cool things to them. And you can see them. I've seen them in like, you know, online, different car shows and different things like that. And yeah, a lot of younger people will buy them and soup them up, and they are just so cool and a lot of fun. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. But yeah, I just wanted to give a quick review. Oh, and another thing I'd like to bring out too is that just like the Porsche, maybe that's why it was compared to the Porsche, but I really think that it's supposed to have the same kind of model engine. If I'm wrong, again, put in the comments. You know, maybe it'd be fun and interesting to have this chat with other people and converse about it a little bit too, that have this vehicle. But the engine is always in the back, just like with the Porsche, you know. So yeah, so the engine was in the back. I remember that. And I rode in the back a few times. I didn't feel like it was extra hot back there. It was small seat, you know, small seating, just a sporty little car. I don't remember it being excessively hot because the engine was in the back. Of course, I didn't ride in the back that much, but you would think that it'd probably get pretty hot back there in the back seat if you're close to the motor. But I don't recall that. I don't recall that. Again, if anybody wants to bring out any points about it, I think it would be pretty neat. These cars are definitely a true classic, a lot of fun, and I'm sure there's a lot of people still buying them and fixing them up. I've seen them, I've seen several of them, and the convertibles are so cool, and it's an affordable classic car that anybody can get and drive from, you know, different classic shops or stores. They're still affordable, and I think that's pretty neat. because even as a kid you can have a really cool true classic car and it doesn't cost like $500,000. So that was my review for the 1968 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. And please, if you would, leave a like and perhaps subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great day.